So, hey guys, I'm Mani, and today I'm going to start episode 4 for Super Stack template. And in this part, earlier we have seen that the Dino initialization, and then we have integrated the front end using the RS build, then the SolidJS, then we have implemented one sample app, and in the episode 3rd we have integrated the tailwind CSS using the post CSS plugin for RS build. And in this episode we are going to focus on this part. Let me zoom it a bit. Yeah, the backend part, where we have to install the Elysia, because we are going to use the Elysia for backend, and that will be supercharged by Bun. Elysia can manage uh, like huge requests per second, similar to the Rust and Go. So that's why we are going to use Elysia. And what we are going to do with this approach, here is my plan. So first we will have we have to install this Bun plus Elysia in our application. Then we will have the API server running on the Elysia. Right now we are using a development local server provided by the RS build, so that we are using for the UI development, and that is running on the 3000. But we are going to use the 3000 for our server or API server, and we will change our UI development server to 5000. This setup is for the development. Why? Just I'm letting you know what will happen. So for the development purpose, we will have two servers. One is the development server for the UI development that we were having earlier for whole SolidJS thing, and now we will have one more server that we will call the API server. So the API server will run on the 3000, where from where we will serve the API, and our UI development server will run on the port 5000. So our whole application we can see on this port, localhost 5000. And then if we have to consume some API, so we will call this API server using our proxy. We will I'll tell you why I'm calling this a proxy. So, and then this UI development server we will be running on the browser. So we will open the localhost 5000 on the browser. So we will have whole UI application there, and we will consume the API from the API server running on the Elysia, right? Okay, here are some things so why we have to run two servers. So this is just for the development setup. In the production, we will have only one server, that will be the Elysia server. And the production we will build this UI thing. So we will build whole assets, the CSS, compile all the JS in one build, and then we will have only one server there, and that server we will run on browser, and then we will be using the API itself here, okay? Because when we will have the build, so we will not need it the development servers, because the development UI server we will need it for just to check the changes. So it is fast actually to see the UI part, because if we will use the build directly in the development, so it will be really hard. We have to again and again restart the server to check the changes. So that's why we will be using the development server in the development. So in that way we will have the HMR, the hot module replacement. So if anything change change at the UI set, so it will directly live reload on our server, on the local host server. I'm just focusing on the UI development source or server, not the API server I'm saying. So in that way the UI development will be fast. And once we are done with the UI development, so we will build whole package and supply supply the files directly here in the public directory, so the Elysia server can pick from there. Okay, so that was the setup. Now come to the implementation part. So earlier we have built the application stack using the Dino we have installed already, the RS build we have installed, the SolidJS we have installed over the RS build, and the tailwind CSS also. Today we are going to implement this Bun and Elysia. So Bun we have installed on the machine. You can also install in your machine using the command. It's just simple command. So you have to run this command and it will automatically install on your system. You can see here Bun is really fast from Dino also. So that's why the server we are going to use, on Bun. So Elysia server is also fast. So we are going to use the Elysia on Bun, and for frontend we are using other build. So not needed for Bun is for backend server only, because that is the main part where we get the lot of requests to handle. So yeah, that's why. So you can install the Bun from here, and then I already installed. So let me check my Bun version. So it is 1.2.0, and then I have to install the Elysia.js. For creating a Elysia app, we have to use this command, bun create Elysia, and as I have to create the application here on this directory, so that's why I'm not going to giving any name. I just use the dot and it will install all these things here. Okay. So Bun uses the package.json for managing the dependencies. So that's why we will have the package.json, but I'll remove that file to manage all the dependencies through the dino.json only. Okay. So it has been installed, and we got two files. No. Okay, we got two files only. That's really good. No. We have one more file. Okay. Okay, so what just happened? It has like when I ran the command, so it just initiated or generated all the files that was needed, and then might be, yeah, so it just created a commit. That's why I cannot see whole file structure what just happened. So what I'm going to do, I'll just reset this commit so I can see whole file structure. But for that I have to first comment these new files in the last commit, and then reset soft to see all the changed files. Now you can see when when we run the bun create Elysia app, so it generates these files, so package.json, then the readme already also updated, and the ts config, and then the index.ts that has the server setup. So from here we can remove the changes that we don't need like this one we don't need, right? So remove it from here, and then we are not going to use this log file because we already have dino.log. So remove this file too. Then the package.json. So package.json having two dependencies installed. One is Elysia, so we will add this one, and this dev dependency is also from Dino. Just copy this file first, paste here, remove this file, and then we will set up the dependencies through Dino. So Dino add npm Elysia and Bun types. Okay, so we have sorted Elysia dependencies through the Dino, and we don't need this file now. Okay, so we have now the Bun types module and the Elysia on in our dino.json file as imports. Then log file, which is the whole bundle thing, like we store the versions here, whatever is required. Then we have another file, that is the ts config, and ts we don't need that because it will automatically handled by done and Dino, but we can add the types like from the Bun types, because we are not going to use the bun.json. So that's why the important thing we will copy from here and use it with Dino. So there is only one thing, that is using the library Bun types, so it is needed one. So just copy from here and open your dino.json file. In the compiler option, we will have one more thing, that is types. So the type I'm going to use here. Okay. Then we can now remove this file. Don't need this. So you can see for the Elysia setup, we just needed 3 files now. Like one where we store the import or the required npm or the libraries, and this is automatically generated based on this, and the second file. So basically we needed 2 files only. Okay, the index.ps where we set up the Elysia server. So 2 files we needed. Okay, now we needed now we have to run this to check whether the Elysia server is running or not. So just clear this bit and then run directly using the bun run, and the file inside the src for now. So src index.ts. Okay, and run. So the server is running on 3000, and when we go and we hit this URL, so we can see the response, right? It means our server setup is successfully done. Okay. Just remove this one. Cool. task to run the server from the Dino tasks. Okay. And one more thing, we have to separate the file for the API server in some other folder. So I'm going to create one more directory. That will be API, and the API, we will have this file index.ts in API. So it's in the API now. Okay, and now we will add a task to run this. That we will call API for now. Here we have to mention the command bun run API / index.ts. Okay, save this file and now run the server again with the Dino command. So Dino task API. See, the task API bun run, and it is running on the 3000, and check it. Okay, great. So it is coming from the 3000. Okay, cool. Okay, so now we have installed the setup for the Elysia and running the Elysia on 3000. Okay, so what we will do now, earlier our UI development server was running on the 3000, so just change the port for this one so both can work. Okay, so that we have to do from rs build. Okay, just slide it a bit, and then we have to use the port through the server option. Server, then port, yeah, port is here, and we are going to run this on 5000. Okay, so the 3000 is for API server, and the 5000 for our dev server for UI part or the front end part. You can see the localhost is 5000, where we are having our front end, sorry, the 5000. Okay, remember what we built last? This one. Okay, it's working fine. Right, working perfectly fine. Okay, so first thing, we have to run both server with one command only. Okay, so just change the things here in the task part. Make this dev UI and this one as dev API, and then we will have a task, the dev task, for running both. Okay, so that will be Dino task dev API and Dino task dev UI. So it will run both the server. Okay, and one more thing, we have to add the voucher for the server. So how we can add the voucher? I think as we are running with the bun, so just use the bun run watch mode. Okay, so dash watch. Okay, so run watch, and our UI development server already have the hot module replacement feature, so we don't need to do anything for dev part. Okay, then I'll just create one more thing for so this setup we will discuss about the development part only. Like, we are going to set up the development page for this whole application. So like how we will have this backend and front end functionality together in the development. So for now, it's fine. We needed only the dev server. So now run this using the deno task dev, and then we must have these two servers running together. So if we see the output here, so the API is working, the Elysia is running at the 3000, and then the UI is running RS build, so the RS build running on 5000. So just check at the browser side. Okay, we got the response from the 3000 from the API server, and from the UI server we are getting the response too. So our both servers are running. Okay. Okay, now the third part. Oh, sorry, not the third. The next part is, if you remember in the last video, we have like in the development server the data, this data, and when we go to this route, the dinosaur route, so this all data we are just fetching using the hard coded JSON file, right? So now we need to remove the data from the front end part and fetch from the API server. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to provide the like we have to create the API at the API server end, and then we will consume the API at our front end or UI end. Okay, so create the APIs here, remove the data file from here, from the, okay, it will just fetch, give the error if I delete while running this. So now cd src, it's in src, it's an mv src data.json, and move to the API. Okay, then we will consume the data.json here and create the API based on that. Okay, so how we will do that? So just add the data from data.json. We have to check the bun module for that. JSON, the static files, JSON. Okay. We first check the Elysia. but JSON we can use directly, so I don't think we need a setup for handle that file. Just open the JSON file, read a JSON file, or import a file here. Okay, so import data from, okay, you can directly with type JSON. That's why it is giving you error. Now it is resolved. Cool. Then we will create the APIs. So leave it as it is, and then create a new API that will be a whole. I mean, we need first all the dinosaur record. So okay, and where we have to give this file directly. So we have our first API. Okay, and how we will use it here. So on mount we need to fetch the data. So how we will use that this way. Console the data for now. Okay, and for now just disable this, otherwise it will give error. Okay, so we are getting errors, and the error is cannot. Okay, yeah, we have to remove this file from both the component, and for now just disable some of the things so it will not give you errors. Okay, built successfully. So we have to check the console if the data is fetching or not. So access to fetch at dinosaurs from localhost 5000 has been blocked by course policy. Okay, so that is why I was showing you this diagram. So we have to proxy this server at our development at server, then we will not have this problem. So let's do that. And one more thing, just use a / API type. So we have to just create a context for whole thing. Okay, so make this as API. So the API index, and then we are fetching API here. So API from fetching the data from the API, and we are getting the error for now. But you can see, so we are fetching the data from this API. Okay, and the origin is localhost 5000, that is the UI development server. Okay, okay, keep that in mind. Then we have our spread config.js where we have to use this option proxy, and inside the proxy we can assign like this API, for the API, the target will be HTTP localhost 3000 and change origin, so that this will change the origin also. So what it is exactly, let me tell you. So first we have to check whether it is working or not. So let's try to understand this thing first. So come to the rs documents, rs build proxy server.proxy. So when we give this URL, like when we are going to fetch like directly from the /API, this, okay. So we will fetch and we'll give the URL like this /API. So just think about where it will call first. So if we assign like this /API, so it will try to find the API at this server, at UI development server, that is localhost 5000. So it will call the localhost 5000 /API, but that is not our API server, that is our UI development server. So we have to target this one to our API server, that is at the 3000 port, okay. So that's why we have given the target here. So when we provide the /API, so it will target this host, okay. And change origin true you will see on the network tab when I'll show you, okay. So for now just change this thing and call the API here and go to the application again, and now we got the promise, okay. And if we see the network tab, okay, and reload this again, so we have called this API, right? But what it is showing you, the request URL is 5000 /API, but we have targeted it at 3000, right? That is the API server, and the remote address you can also see like 5000. And if you go down, so you will see the host also has 5000 and refer is those that is the same here. So it is saying as same origin, okay. So we proxy it, so it is thinking like it's for development part. So this way we can remove the error for the codes. So it is like the same, we are requesting for the same origin, okay. This will work only for the development, okay, because we have the same machine and running both server at same place, okay. So we now got the data as response, okay. Just now we have to use the data, okay. So we got the response, and now just take a state, so that will be this one, okay. Let's set source from create signal, and that will be for now blank, type will be of array. Okay, so we solved the error. We have assigned the type also. Earlier it is blank array, and then we will set the response. Okay. Fetch is already giving the promise, so why we need to await and all. Right. Just use directly fetch /API, then res or response return the response.json, and then the data, and console the data again here, and now check that. Okay, we got the object now. Okay, then we can set the data source now, and don't need to store it also. And now we can use or uncomment this. And from the signal we have to use the parenthesis to call the data. I guess we are good for index page. Just save this file, and we have the data on the screen now. Okay, so this data is coming from our API server. Reload this again to see fresh request. This is coming from our API server. That is at the localhost 3000/API, but as we have proxied the target URL, so it is showing you the URL like this. Okay, like it is coming from the same origin, but it is not. Okay. Okay. Then we have to fix also the dinosaur component page. So there, for that we have to use one more API, and that will be get API slash this with dinosaur. So basically we will use, or we will supply a name of the dinosaur, and that name will be the parent. Okay, and then we will use this parent to find the exact object for that particular name. So like we have this file here, so if we supply this name, so we will be returned this whole object. If we supply this name, then I need this object, right? So we will get the param, and then just console the param first. Okay, we console it, and the Elysia. Okay, so I'm calling here, and do we have any console? Nothing. I think at the server side we need some traces. Okay, just leave it. We will see like how we use the params in Elysia. So I guess we can go here in the root section, and in the root section we need to check the dynamic path. So this, okay, so I've been using wrong. Inside the params it will come. Okay. So the params and then this variable. Will not get this, I know. Just leave it again. Okay. So just return some response first, and let's see. Okay, the problem is we are not using this API for now. So go to this component and uncomment the onMount section and do the same thing here. So onMount, remove that async. Don't need that async. Fetch command. So fetch the supplied params. Okay. With, and we have to use this one. API slash $, and just leave the other part. Okay, we got this, the name of the dinosaur, right? So the param is working fine. Now implement the next part. So then the response will be returned as response.json, and then the data, and the data we have to store here. Okay. But for now, just console the data, and then return some data from here. So return data, the whole data. Okay. So we are getting whole data, right? So the API is working fine. Now what we have to do, we have to return the exact object for that particular dinosaur. Okay. So how we will do that? We need to find that using the filter. So the exact thing that we were doing here at the dinosaur component. So this way, just uncomment it, copy this one and remove other thing. Okay, and then inside here use it. So data.find data from the JSON, whole JSON, and find that the name with this. Okay, and then return this thing. Okay, so if we reload, so we got the object. Okay, back to the dinosaur, go to another dinosaur, we got the object for this name, then back here, and we got for another one. So come here again, and so we are getting the data now. We have to just implement the huge. So now set this data using set function, and we are using it correct, so all fine after that. So we are good. The application is as before, so it is working fine. So in this way we are consuming the API from the Elysia server now, right? Can directly use this method also. Okay. So we have created the API at the Elysia server end. Then we have configured our RS build, where we have changed the port for our UI development server, and then we have proxied this path and the following paths using this prefix to target the API server, and then we are using the index API, and at the component we are using the separate API for the dinosaur. Okay, and all working fine. So are we done with the current plan? So Bun and Elysia we have implemented, and the API server is running at the localhost 3000, and the UI development server is running at port 5000, and we are using this one for development purpose, because we need to see the live changes that we will do on the UI screen. Okay, and that is we are accessing at the browser side. It is the development setup. Okay, and then we have proxied the API and getting the data from here, but it is like the same origin request. Okay, to remove the codes cross origin issue. Okay, so we are done with the current plan, the development setup for both these things. We have two servers, but in the next video we will have only one server, that is the API server, with the build from this part, front end part, and we will be serving that build with the API server directly. So the production build we will focus next. The production server and the production build we will focus next.
So till then, stay tuned with me in the episode 5. Thank you.